How do you force yourself to draw every now and then? Honestly, I've reached the point where drawing isn't particularly difficult for me. It used to be difficult to force myself to draw on a daily basis, and I would have to be like, oh, I just can't draw. But like that isn't hard anymore. But yesterday I had to go outside and do like outside shit, and that has had devastating consequences on my ability to do anything. So this morning I was like, fuck, I don't know if I can fucking stream. I don't know if I have the energy in me. It has been a struggle. I tried to get some drawing done last night, and I did get a little bit of drawing done last night, but not that much. There used to be times in which, like, I would try and draw, and I literally couldn't, like, create images on the screen. Like, my mind's ability to formulate three-dimensional imagery was not working. But that has gotten much, much less as... it's kind of like any skill, but like your endurance is also a skill, you know? How goes the phone fiasco? I will talk about the phone fiasco later in the stream, but I don't even feel like talking about it. That's how much I'm fucking done. You're gonna get a long-ass complaint about just tech in general. Because it's not really the phone that I'm done with. It's just like modern society I'm done with. Which is a lot more difficult to do something about than just the phone. How is everyone doing today? Sounds like you had a long day. It wasn't even that long. Alright, we'll start with the whole phone situation. So, yesterday, it didn't actually take me that much time to obtain my phone. What took me time was trying to figure out, like, my strategy for going forward. Right, because I got to Japan, I bought a new phone. Well, I didn't buy a new phone, that was the problem. I bought a used phone. I went to the hard off, where I decided I was going to buy all my shit. Because I had just left America and I was disposing all my stuff. And I was just like, I don't want to buy anything new anymore. Like, I'm just going to buy used shit going forward with my life. So I was like, okay, this is my new strategy. I'm in Japan. There's a secondhand store really close by. Everything's going to be secondhand going forward. It's going to be cheaper and hopefully it'll last longer. So I bought a 8,000 yen phone when I came to Japan 7 months ago. I bought an Aquos, which is Japanese brand, sharp phone, for 8,000 yen, which is like, what, 60 bucks? So extremely cheap. It lasted me, 7 months, essentially. And the battery just fucking got all heated up and died. And I wasn't particularly mad about that. You know, when you buy an old-ass, like, 4-year-old phone, like, that's... This shit, it's built to last about 4 years, and then they want you to buy a new phone. If you haven't bought a new phone in 3 years, they're going to start fucking nudging you in a direction in which they're like, okay, it's time to buy a new fucking phone. So I was like, okay, where are we going to do now? What's our strategy going forward? We just got burned by buying a used piece of technology. Do I want to go back to the hard off? It's going to cost me more money to fix this fucking thing than, actually just buying another used phone or even a new phone. So we're not going to do that. So do we want to go online and go on Amazon and buy a phone that's new, but is like a few years out of date? Like they were selling, let's see, I can't remember what the prices that I was looking at. They were selling new phones that weren't the newest model. Let's see. Yeah, so I'm seeing that they're selling Docomo Galaxy A25 5G black SIM-free, and that is for 18,000 yen. So that would have been a pretty good deal, 18,600 yen. And it's SIM-free even though it says Docomo. So I should have gotten that if I was being smart. But here's the thing, man. I was just like, man, I don't fucking care if it might last me longer by paying 18,000 yen for a newer phone from 2025, man. I just don't want to fucking spend 18,000 yen on my fucking phone. I fucking hate having a phone, man. I signed up for all the moving companies. I didn't know that this was going to happen when I used this, combined moving company website. I thought that I would just be able to compare prices, but instead they gave me all my fucking phone number to every single moving company in this area. So, moving companies have been calling my cell phone nonstop for the last 2 weeks, and I just don't answer it. I just have it on silent mode the entire time. And just the entire experience of just having an object that's allowed to bug you nonstop. I'm just so fucking done with it, man. The phone does not make my life any better. It just really annoys me that modern society literally requires you to have a cell phone to do basically anything. And I was just like, man, I do not want to put all this extra money in having an object that costs more that I have to carry around and worry about dropping it or losing it. I'd rather just have the cheapest possible fucking object in my pocket. The technology we own often ends up owning us. Yeah, so I was just like, I just don't want to fucking do it. I don't want to worry. I don't want to think about this shit anymore, you know? I don't want to go on Amazon and be like, what's the best deal I can get? Will buying this thing, if I buy a new phone for slightly more instead of getting a used phone, will that mean it will last an extra 2 years? What is my, years of use that I can get for paying this shit? I started thinking about that and I was just like, I don't want to fucking think about this shit anymore. Who knows, right? Who knows how long the fucking phone is gonna last? So I just was like, also I don't want to order shit on Amazon either. I'm fucking tired of giving Jeff Bezos money. So I did the same thing I did last time. I took the train. I went to the local hard off. It's 20 minutes on a train. I went to the hard off. I got a 7,000 yen Motorola phone from 2021. And I'm looking at the 2021 date and I'm just like, I'm pretty sure smartphones are built to last 5 years, so I'm really pushing it with this, even if it's 7,000 yen. There's a high chance that this thing is going to die within the next year or so, and it would have been like a much better deal if I had tried and bought the Galaxy phone that I was looking at for 18,000 yen, and it would last me like 3 or 4 years maybe. But I was just like, man, fuck that. I'm fucking tired of spending my consciousness, my attention on these stupid fucking gadgets. Give me the 7,000 yen phone. That's like 50 fucking bucks. That's the cost of like going to a slightly nice restaurant and eating some sushi. Give me the cheap ass phone. We'll worry about shit later. And I was like, I'm so done caring about this stuff. I replaced my fucking SIM card while I was on the train coming back, and then checked that it worked or not at the local fucking McDonald's while I was getting a double cheeseburger. They don't have double quarter pounders in Japan, by the way, because apparently double quarter pounders is too deep into the whole I'm a fat ass zone that Americans live in. So the closest you could get is a Big Mac or a double cheeseburger. There was a time in which they had something called a Mega Mac, which was like a Big Mac with 4 hamburger patties. But that was like a limited time only. So it's hard to get fat in Japan. Anyways, I fucking replaced the SIM card for my new Motorola, i.e. not actually new Motorola phone, in the fucking McDonald's. It works well enough. There's a bunch of shit that didn't load. Then I realize, oh wait, it has a different charging port. It's not a USB-C. I don't have a micro USB charger. I confirm on the internet using my other phone that still works that it is in fact a micro USB charger. I go to the electric store that's there at the train station, be like, do you have micro USBs? I'm half terrified that like micro USB is out of use. But thank God they fucking had them, because like micro USB is like, I don't know, 4 years out of date, I feel, at this point. Everything is USB-C now. But thank God they have a fucking micro USB cable for like, like 300 yen if I get one of the ones that are very short. And I'm like, okay, this ain't that bad. I'm not sticking anything extra onto my total price tag by that much. I fucking buy that, come back, it charges, okay, we're good to go. So we're gonna see how long this 2021 Motorola G something lasts my ass. But it just brings me to this point where I'm just like, I'm fucking tired of the little bargains we have to do with our modern tech overlords. I'm not Luddite to the point where I'm gonna stop drawing digitally and I'm just gonna be like, I'm not gonna own a phone at all, because, that's going a little too far. But like, if you look at my fucking laptop, the screen is currently detaching itself right now. And this is something that happened when I bought my MSI laptop. It happened to this laptop in the first, month of owning it. It's that poorly manufactured. I've talked about this previously, but the latches that are here, it's made out of, paper-thin plastic. But there's these 2 circular latches right here. I've talked about this. But it's progressing. So I currently have this entire area here taped up with masking tape. Wrapping this area with masking tape. It looks like a fucking mummy. Or it broke its fucking kneecap or some shit, which is basically what has happened. It's taped up here and here, like this is a Apollo 13 mission, and and we're trying to get back to Earth without dying from some sort of catastrophic engineering failure, and the only thing that's keeping the spaceship from coming apart is a bunch of duct tape, because that is actually what's happening. 1B-Ara01, thanks for the Prime sub. I appreciate the support. So, what happens is these round hinge parts of the MSI laptop, they're made out of this cheap plastic, but they're actually attached to the seam of the monitor. So, if you can see this drawing, there's this vertical seam in the monitor part, and when this thing, the plastic hinge, it kind of pops off, it also causes the vertical seam of the monitor to start to split like it's a fucking wafer. Like it's literally splitting. And like there's this gap here and here to the screen. So the screen is just like starting to detach itself in front of my fucking eyes. And I'm taping it together so that this split doesn't get wider and the entire fucking front of the screen doesn't come apart from where the hinges are detaching itself. And this happened within the first month of me buying this computer like 4 years ago. And I took it to Best Buy and they're like, oh, sorry, warranty, the 1 month warranty has expired. That'll be like $200 for you to set it up. So I had to fucking enter their Geek Squad Giga Protection program, which gave me like, retroactively gave me like 2 months warranty. So that ended up saving me like $100, but I had to get the computer fixed within a month of owning it. And then the screen came back, and I was like, okay, problem solved, right? Well, they just like fixed the screen, but didn't actually create a fix for their structural problem they have, in which the screen starts to detach and fall apart. So 4 years go on, and lo and behold, the same fucking problem begins to happen again. As someone who works at Toyota, which is still a somewhat functionally engineered product company, like, I constantly had to translate things that we would call minor changes or minor fixes. The Toyota lingo for that was maruma. This was a minor change. And I was actually at the product improvement where you'd have to do like these, they would constantly be redesigning these minor changes that they would have to put in all the cars to make sure when there was a recognized problem in their vehicles that when they, you know, had the recall, when you took the car into the fucking dealership, that the same problem wouldn't reoccur. But obviously MSI, being a fucking Chinese tech company, does not have that concept. So I'm stuck with the same fucking problem again. Even if I spend like $300 getting this fucking screen fixed, it's gonna happen again because they don't have like a change in this. There is no minor change. There is no fix that is gonna permanently solve this problem. They're just gonna stick the screen back together, and because the structure is the same, this same shit is gonna happen like a year and a half from now. Or it might happen a week from now. Who the fuck knows? So I'm just trying to keep it together using tape. And as a whole, I'm just like, I'm so fucking done with this shit, man. I'm so fucking done with being like, oh, if I buy this $1,000 object, I might get 3 or 4 years of use out of it before it has a critical failure, and I have to either replace it or spend like $400 getting it fixed at a minimum. And I just don't want to fucking think about this shit anymore, man. It is like, it's the kind of stuff that I would make fun of my boomer parents from complaining about, like, I don't know how to use my mouse, blah, blah. It's like, Dad, that's just what tech is. Actually, my parents aren't that bad. But it's like, the fundamental deal, the contract that we have with the manufacturers of these things is so broken, just like the objects they're breaking. in that if you spend a shit ton of money for something, it's supposed to work for at least, like, I don't know, 5 years? But we don't get 5 years, do we? Right? So if I have to wonder if I buy this extremely expensive tool and I might get 2 years out of it, I'm definitely not getting 5 years out of it, but I might get like 5 months out of it. So if there's a possibility that it fucking fails on me in 5 months, then I'm gonna try and just buy the cheapest piece of shit version that I can find at the local secondhand store and hope that it lasts me a year. Because I'd prefer that experience over being like buying a slightly more expensive version and then it just dying on me. Because then I feel like a real dumbass, right? It's like, shit, I tried to future-proof my shit and it died on me immediately. If you're lucky, you get 3. It really do be like that. That's why I love PCs. I'm on year 10 right now. I mean, if you can replace the parts yourself, then that goes quite a ways, right? If you can be like, oh, I have identified that the issue is the motherboard, then you're like halfway there for being in that zone where it's like a classical ice engine car that you can just fix yourself. On the other hand, I'm assuming this is a desktop PC, and I wouldn't be able to bring my gigantic fat-ass desktop PC with me to Japan, so that problem doesn't really solve my issues. But that is kind of what I'm considering buying next, because I can't rely on my laptop that's literally coming apart right now. But yeah, it wouldn't have been... That's the thing, all of my PlayStations still work, despite what I thought about my PS4 working. That was the HDMI anti-piracy issues kicking it. My PS2 still worked when I left it in America. I was checking all my hardware. My PS1 worked, my PS2 worked. It used to be like, oh, did your text shit, did it stop working? Oh, that's because you bought it from, like, Microsoft. That's what you get from, owning an Xbox 360 and stuff like that, right? But at this point, like, when it comes to shit like cell phones, like, there isn't, like, the Sharp that I bought, the Sharp phone, that's a Japanese maker, man. And if you look online and about, like, its reputation, it's like, this is a phone known for being durable and not dying and having long battery life. It's like, well, guess what? The Japanese product that's supposed to be durable and has long battery life did not have long battery life, and it did not last. And I'm not even angry about it fucking dying on me after 6 months, because, you know what? I don't even expect this shit to last at all. I remember my PS2 disc tray stopped working. My American PS2 disc tray stopped working back in like 2002 or something. And I called up Sony tech support like in 2002, and I was like, something's wrong with the disc tray. And they're like, okay, sure, mail it in. And literally the only thing I paid for repairs was the cost of shipping it out to them. For some reason, they fixed it for free. I'm pretty sure it's like around 2002. They were just like, yeah, sure, we'll fix it. And it just came back. And that was it. They just fucking fixed it for free. Can you imagine that shit in 2026? They were just like, yeah, just send it out. Like, it did. Like, even at the time, I was like, what the fuck? I don't have to pay anything. It obviously wasn't under warranty. I had owned it for like 5 years at that point. They just fixed it and sent it back to me. This wasn't like some, like famous issue like the Xbox 360 where they were forced to fix everybody's red ring of death. They just was like, yeah, we'll just fix it. And that was that. It was bizarre, even at the time. But they just treated it like a normal thing. But not even Japanese companies have escaped shitification. At least the tech ones. I'm sure the car companies are still fine in general. They know that keeping people happy means return customers. Not anymore, they don't. I don't think you can rely on Sony in the same way. Case in point, this was something that happened to my father, but apparently he just wanted like a CD player radio combo. So he bought like a Sony radio player CD combo, and it came to him and it was broken from opening the box. And then he foolishly enough chose to just be like, that must have been bad luck, and he bought the same product again online, and he got a second one that was also broken. And I was just like, damn, shame on you for trusting Sony in 2026. Sony lost its soul a while ago. Pretty much every American company and Japanese company that relies on Chinese manufacturing and doesn't have like extremely restrictive quality control office in place is completely worthless at this point. The double combo of like American corporate oversight in which they don't give a fuck about the customer, and then Chinese manufacturing who also don't give a fuck about the customer, has had devastating consequences on pretty much any kind of product at this point. China is much more similar to America than they are to any other like Asian countries. They have the exact same mentality in that like, oh, you got fucked over as a customer? Haha, fuck you, I took your money. Fool me twice, shame on your dad. I was just like, I'm sorry, Dad, but it ain't 90s anymore. You should have learned your lesson on the first try. I say this, but, you know, I went back to hard off and did the same thing that I did 6 months ago, and we'll see how long my Motorola phone lasts. I was just like, Dad, my PlayStations are holding up pretty well, but that's because PlayStations are kind of the flagship product for Sony's reputation, so they have slightly more quality control in place. Who the fuck buys a stereo CD player in 2025? Only boomers like you, and it's being made by, like, a shitty Chinese third-party manufacturer that has no oversight from the Sony head offices. That's why it's bad. That's what I told him at the time. But at this point, I'm not sure that Sony has quality control for any divisions. As someone whose fucking PS5 controller died on him in like 7 months, and then I bought a like $200 premium PS5 Edge, which has replaceable joysticks baked into the design, so that it costs you less to replace them. You don't have to do your own repairs. You can just slide it in. And lo and behold, I had to use the replaceable joystick functionality when I bought a replaceable joystick like 6 months after buying the premium controller. I bought a replaceable joystick and had to slide it in because I fucking had stick drift. Yeah. This is their solution. You need to pay fucking $200 for a controller because if you don't, then it's gonna break and you're not gonna be able to use it if you buy the normal $70 controller. Sony was always greedy. I don't know, man. There's like different levels of greedy. It was always just kind of like, for the longest time, it was like, yeah, they were greedy, but it was like they were the lesser of multiple evils. It was like Nintendo has the sterling reputation, their stuff is unbreakable. Microsoft is obviously the dumbass, you shouldn't have bought an Xbox in the first place. And Sony was kind of like the lesser of the evils, but where Nintendo is like, you have to pay extra for all your games being premium products. You were kind of safe if you tried to, split the difference. and find a slightly more reliable Japanese manufacturer. But when it comes to tech, I don't think I trust literally any manufacturers at this point. I don't think there's a way in which you can buy the right product from the right company and then the chances of it fucking shitting the bed on you is lower. I don't think that's even a thing anymore. It's not about lesser evils, it's about conditioning the customer. Whatever slimy business suit people are out there just being like, hey, all our competitors are shitty as well. Why should we even try and compete with them? We should all be shitty. The shittification is on purpose. We all know that. And I'm tired and sick of it. On the way back from buying my used Motorola cell phone on the train, I was staring at the people. Everybody was on their phone, of course, in the train, because that's what you do on the train. And I was thinking, like, how much did these people pay for their cell phones? What do they use it for? They use it for everything. And how long are their cell phones going to last? And is this why populations are decreasing? Because everyone is more interested in staring at their stupid, shitty fucking cell phone device? I was also thinking about how one of the reasons why I have so little value in my cell phone is because I'm so antisocial, right? I don't get any kind of emotional joy from owning a cell phone. I know a lot of people don't get emotional joy from owning a cell phone, but it's especially drastic for me because I don't want to have any kind of like people contacting me or talking to me in the first place. So having just like a beeping object where people be like, hey, I called you, why didn't you, answer this shit? Having a method for which people can intrude on my life, it really doesn't offer any kind of benefit to me. It's just a net negative, so I definitely don't want to spend any extra money. Executives just agree on raising prices while playing golf. Competition is a lie. Then why did Pokemon sue Palworld? I mean, competition isn't a lie until someone tries and undercuts the primary competitors by making something better for a cheaper price like Palworld did. But I think I've just officially become a Luddite at this point. I want nothing to do with any tech after like the year 2002. And it's not like I want to be that way, but modern society has made me want it. You've done this to me, fucking tech companies. You have made me into a Luddite. I'm just done with your shit. I say this and I'm probably gonna have to buy like a gaming PC, but I don't know. We're gonna try and run it out with my laptop coming apart at the seams for a while, I think. Even if the screen is literally coming off, I just needed to have it so that, like, if I insert the HDMI cable, it will automatically use the HDMI cable connected second monitor as its primary source as its primary screen. I just need to have it in that mode. Then I won't have to fix it. We'll see how long I can keep it. just proved the point. TPC saw competition and tried to stomp it out with the power of lawyers. I'm getting all these videos for K-trucks on YouTube because K-trucks have been a thing in the American car market for the last like 3 years or so, in which Americans realize that if they actually want a truck that they can use to like do things and haul stuff, they can just import a Japanese K-truck for like $6,000 and they don't have to buy an $80,000, no exaggeration, Ford F-150 Giga Supermax. Well, you know, the thing is, in the last 3 years, as Americans were starting to realize that they could get K-trucks, you know what they did? And by they, I mean them, the people that shall not be named. They were like, oh shit, they're onto us. They've realized that Japan still produces good products. So they made it fucking illegal to own a K-truck. Let me see which states it's illegal to in. States where it is illegal to own a K-truck. It is not inherently illegal to own a K-truck in any U.S. state, but driving or registering them for street use is heavily restricted. Several states explicitly ban them from public roads or refuse street legal registration, including New York, California, Georgia, Maryland, New Jersey, Maine, and New Mexico. Federally, you can legally import a K-truck that is 25 years or older without violating EPA or DOT restrictions. However, new K-trucks cannot be legally imported or registered for street use in the U.S. due to safety and emission standards. So this isn't just like old stuff. This started to happen very recently. There's actual videos about that shit. It's quote unquote for safety standards. They're trying to keep you from, hurting yourself. If you look into it, there's a bunch of videos on it, but it happened very recently. Literally, they realized that people were getting around the whole American car trucks, American car makers. They only sell expensive trucks, so we don't want them. So then the automobile makers sent fucking guidelines to local states to be like, we need to ban this. And they were like, cool, we'll ban it for you. It's one of the most egregious examples of like, instead of actually having competition, we'd prefer to just make it illegal. It's something that American industry has been doing for quite a while regarding like Japanese products and the Japanese auto industry as a whole, but it's like one of the most blatant examples where they're just like, people are just like, we don't want your $100,000 trucks anymore, and the auto industry is like, fine, we'll just make it illegal for you to own Japanese trucks instead. Manslave wanted to get me a Jimmy. Jimmy is like, if women thought that Jeeps were cute, but Japan was like, hold my beer, we'll make it even cuter. For those of you who don't know, I assume you're talking about the Jimny, not the J. Oh yeah, you did right with the MY. The, I couldn't see the N. Yeah, it's Jimuni. They couldn't spell Jimmy or something, I guess. It's like the fucking cutest thing. It's like having a toy car. American truck owners would be like, LMAO, if I hit that in a crash, you die. You don't have enough crumple zone. Which is an actual thing that American truck owners brag about, is that they would kill you because you're driving a small car and they have a larger car. It's just the average American mentality is being like, oh, you have a nice small car that doesn't cost you $1 million, but what if I murdered you with my larger car? How about that? That is a legitimate opinion that Americans have regarding people owning nice things. Is like, what if I actually just fucking killed you? Just another day in the good old US of A. I should stop thinking about America. It doesn't think about me. The whole point of not being in America is that I shouldn't have to think about America. Although American business practices are kind of following me to Japan, hence the shitty product quality in my cell phone. But at least I don't have to deal with fucking American trucks driving me over, running me over as I'm jogging. Like when I'm walking in the parking lot and I'm as tall as the front of a Cadillac Escalade, so they couldn't reasonably see me, or children 5 feet in front of their super tank car. So there's actual data showing that pedestrian deaths have gone up in the past decade, and it only happens in the American market. And this is because Americans all drive SUVs right now. And because... So if you have a sedan that's this shape, right? And you hit a pedestrian... They'll fucking, get flung on top of the windshield and bounce off the windshield, right? But because every American car is now shaped like fucking this, right? And the pedestrian gets hit like this. And the entire fucking grill is basically the size of their body. They go down and get underneath the fucking wheels. And then you get crushed beneath the fucking SUV, which is much higher fatality. So if you look at pedestrian car accident deaths, it hasn't gone up in other countries, but it has only gone up in America, where everybody owns a fucking massive truck or SUV with these really, really high frontal areas that just hits you head on. It is all by design to kill more people. And kill the planet. And they watch Zootopia and Merge Without Looking. I just started this stream with my anti-technology rant, but it's probably better off if we all have self-driving cars sooner instead of later. This isn't me trusting Elon to have a functional car that doesn't run me over. It's just that when you compare it to the other option of having to trust actual people driving without looking at their phones for 5 seconds, it's probably better off if we just have self-driving cars and deal with the occasional fatality. This is an actual case in which you have to hope that the robots are going to be in control here. I honestly don't get having a larger vehicle unless it's for work. Why? Most of them never use the full extent of having a larger vehicle. This is the most un-American opinion we've had today. Moving up in the world means you own a bigger car. It's as simple as that. In America, nobody's like, but I want to have a smaller car. It's easier to park. It doesn't take as much space. It's fewer gas. It's American tradition that if you have more money, you spend it on more house, more yard, more car. Even if it makes your life noticeably worse, Americans never question the fact that if they have more money, they have to spend it on more of the specific object. Please, for the love of God, deport me. Can't you get citizenship in Israel? Hold on, let me check this. Do Jewish people automatically get Israeli citizenship? Not automatically. Under the law of return, Jewish people have the right to immigrate to Israel and become citizens, an act called Aliyah. However, citizenship is not granted automatically without an application process. To acquire citizenship, eligible individuals must apply through Jewish Agency for Israel if outside the country or Population and Immigration Authority. Jews by birth or recognized conversion, as well as their children, grandchildren, and spouses. Here we go, Hystrixia. Here's your strategy going forward. Holy shit, a support AI agent is popping up immediately. Look at all these happy people. Deporting could be a death wish depending on the mood of that ICE officer. I don't really want to talk about this because it makes me truly angry. It makes me the angriest that I've actually been. I generally am a centrist, but every once in a while I'm reminded that the American right is legitimately 100% actually evil. And one of those occasions was when Trump actively tried, and I think has succeeded, to send Afghanistan interpreters who are trying to get out of Afghanistan because America got out. So now the Taliban is out to murder them. Instead of letting them immigrate to America, he's like, LOL, we're going to give them, we're going to deport them. We're going to send them to fucking the Democratic Republic of Congo. That's our solution. Isn't that funny? You guys wanted to get out of Afghanistan. We're going to grant you your monkey's paw wish. We're sending you to the Congo. How do you like that? This is an actual policy that Trump administration is trying to do right now. American military colonialism expansion was like, hey, fight for your country and we'll save your ass if the Taliban win. Well, the Taliban have win and they're about to murder you and all your family now. And guess what? The Republican administration is like, not only are they just like, fuck you, but they're also like, fuck you, isn't this so funny? They think it's all a silly little joke. Haha, we're gonna send you to the worst fucking country in Africa full of like civil war right now. Like, it's not just like the core breaking the promise. You're going to the lowest level of hell, as explained by in Dante's Inferno, that the betrayers go to like the lowest depths of hell, which makes sense, right? You made a promise and you're not willing to keep that. It's not just that, but just like the general glee at which the Republican administration has for inflicting suffering on people, where they think it's all like a silly little meme and a joke. That is what makes them truly evil. Like, I'm not a particularly empathetic human being, but there's something extremely childish, like watching I don't know, a 6-year-old or more like a 4-year-old step on ants and just like feeling a lot of joy in the process of punishing people for no reason. Fuck the far left and right, bro. Corrupted cuckwits. We haven't really given the far left enough power to know how bad it can get, but we have given the equivalent of the far right, or more like there is only far right now. There is no more center right because Trump has basically murdered the center right at this point, and we've given them enough power to know that they are just unbelievably evil human beings. The past few years really haven't felt real, to be honest. Yes. I don't doubt the Israeli government to force women to have children to keep the gears of their ethno-nationalist project grinding. Apparently, recently the Democratic members of Congress had a majority vote to stop military aid to Israel, which should be like the most basic starting point considering Israel has no need for military aid. They can just buy military grade weapons on their own with all the money they have. But like, it's some progress. Somebody has to be the how about we don't give literally every single thing to Israel party. Somebody has to do that. And it sure as fuck isn't going to be the Republican Party, even though half of their voters are like the Jews control everything conspiracy theorists. All Republicans said yes, and it was 50-50 split on Dem's side. It truly is shocking the degree to which that AIPAC has control over American politics. If there's one thing that has aged very poorly since the time in which I was in college and being educated about the joys of the neoliberal globalist order, is the part in which we were like, man, those people who think that the Jews control everything, they're so silly, haha, am I right? It's like, are we sure they're being silly? Because we're seeing a lot of evidence otherwise that they might not be incorrect at all. They have been bought for literal decades at this point. Yeah, it was much harder to notice when the Israeli military wasn't committing war crimes, you know. When it was like, yeah, but the Palestinians are bad too. They're doing suicide bombing. And I mean, it's pretty crazy that they basically had a version of like September 11th level terrorist event, and they were able to commit enough war crimes that people are like, yeah, like, you know, several thousand Israeli citizens were just murdered very recently, but we're still out, you know. You have to be behaving in a pretty extreme manner to get the vast majority of the world's countries to be like, yeah, we're still not supporting you at this point. Then the same Republicans that cry about the evil Jews still support the people that are openly bitch-owned by Israel. I mean, how else are they going to fund their campaigns, right? The thing is that the voters aren't getting AIPAC money, but they can't really, you know, figure out any way to vote for a party other than the Republicans. It's all very depressing. And at least I don't have to fill up my tank of gas. Well, the price of oil will start affecting everything in my life like it always does. But at least I don't have to directly put gas in my gas tank. Time to bring freedom to another brown country and keep the gas price down, Kekona. Honestly, I wish that Trump would just commit to sending ground troops. Anybody who signs up to the fucking Marines in America deserves to do Marine things. The Marines exist for a reason, and people who join the Marines exist for a reason, and they wouldn't be doing anything better with their lives if they weren't in the Marines. They'd probably just become a cop and, you know, shoot random people, or they'd be working as in ICE or something instead. There is a large segment of the American population who really, really wants to shoot shit, and the Marines is one of the best ways to do it if there is a war available. So, yeah, fucking send them in. How do you think I feel? I can't even look at my cultural heritage the same way anymore. Being Jewish right now is not very fun, I'm pretty sure. When your representative is fucking Benjamin Netanyahu. It's much more fun being like, yes, I have Japanese citizenship. Look at my beautiful temples and cicada noises and noodle shops. Instead of being like, yes, I can apply for citizenship in Israel. That sounds like lots of fun. Have you seen the latest West Bank atrocity video? Haha. I'm getting so tired of Twitter recommending me posts in which Republican chud claims mass destruction on China, Iran, and a Democrat chud quoting the straightest clothes. I'm here the porn and wholesome manga that is obviously not going to end in NTR. I have some bad news about the whole it's not going to end in NTR part of it, because the NTR producers are... They're improving on their technique, so to give you the highest degree of mind break possible. They're like, you thought it was vanilla? Psych! But yeah, it's kind of crazy that America has, they want to win all the wars. Let's not say America, the Trump administration. They want to win all the wars, but they want to sacrifice nothing in the process. Like, the death numbers of American service members, where they treat, like, one service member death as, like, it's a fucking apocalyptic scenario. Like, America is supposed to win a fucking war with nobody dying at any point, is kind of, like, crazy. And then, like, the left-wing version of this discourse is incredibly stupid on Twitter. They're being like, we're losing the war! It's like, dude, literally, like, 5 American military members have died as they just like bomb the living fucking shit out of Iran. America's not losing the war. Just because you want Trump to lose does not make that into reality. NTR is becoming optimized for maximum emotional damage. The NTR consumers, they need stronger and stronger forms of mind break. Normal mind break will not do it as it's. They need to remember. I still see fan art of this being produced. It was kind of the last thing the guy produced. I forgot what it was called. It was like, what was it? I think it was like Tachibana-san. I think I have. Oh, what was his name? Fuck, I have so much doujin porn. I think it was the Tachibana-san family doujin. Hold on, let me look it up. Tachibana family doujin. By Jin, that's it. This one, MTSP, aka Jin. This motherfucker, I forgot what year this came out in. The mother, elder daughter, younger daughter, tsundere. He did an entire first volume of this doujin that was set up to have like an Oneshota doujin. He had like an entire 30-page first volume in which it was like a harem setup in which there's like a young kid and he's like living in this with this family and they're being like, oh, you're so cute. He did like this entire first volume just to send you up so you could like self-insert as the kid, and then you get to the second and third volume in which they get NTR'd and fucked by faceless dudes at the local onsen. And it was such a high degree of mind break for NTR consumers that I still see like AI and like fan art of the mother to this day. It really hit hard on them. That's when you know you've achieved like a super high level of like porn accomplishment, is when the other porn producers make porn of your original characters. That's when it's like, you fucking did it, dude. You made it. The biggest rug pull of our time. I mean, you should have seen it coming based off of the author, because he was producing all this Fate Stay Night, you know, Rin and Saber and Ryder getting fucked by the non-main character, non-Shiro character content way before he made the Tachibana-san doujin, but unfortunately, I am incapable of fully self-inserting as a dude that gets a girlfriend in the first place, so I can never truly enjoy the NTR mind break to the full extent. The concept that I could have a fictional girlfriend / wife in my head that then I can get it cucked away from me just doesn't seem to materialize. This is why instead I'm masturbating to vanilla content such as thousands of women tied up in orc breeding factories, getting their boobs lactation milked while they get fucked by minotaurs or something. You know, normal stuff. You can perfectly project into the Gyaruo stealing the girl. I personally like to project as the ugly bastard Oji-san who works in a minimum wage job at the girls only school and also has a hypnosis cell phone, considering I started the stream complaining about my cell phone for like 30 minutes. If I'm gonna own a smartphone, I may as well get the fucking hypnosis app on it. It better be good for something, right? Where's the hypnosis app, Abe-san? How else will I impregnate women if I don't have access to my my app, my mind control app? I can never look at milking scenarios the same way again. Look, don't try and intrude on our breeding factory fantasies with your I have actual breast milk coming out of me bullshit, okay? The tentacle monsters need to feed on your breast milk while they impregnate you with 10,000 tentacle monster eggs. That's just natural biology. Stop complaining. For me, it's the filthy hobo ugly bastard. Not as many filthy hobo ugly bastards nowadays, I've noticed. I think I had my fill of that with the first Mad Max movie, having grannies milked. You don't understand, it's the apocalypse. We have to milk everybody. They should try milking the men. I know I happen to be a specialist on this subject, but I know from my Bada dojins that once the male preg occurs, male lactation also just happens naturally. Milking is annoying as hell. That's why we're going to attach you to the orc breeding farm automatic milking machine. So you don't have to do it yourself. The fully automated process will do it for you. Unlike actual real-world technology, the milking farm's milking machines are extremely efficient. So are their childbirth equipment as well. You just need to lay back and allow the dicking to commence, and all the milking and child extraction will just happen automatically. You just need a cow bikini, then you'll want to be milked. Yeah, the cow bikinis never really did it for me. I wish they would use the cow bikini resources in other sexual fetishes, but there's nothing I can do about it. I will make exception for putting cow bikinis on, like, extremely flat anime girls. For irony's sake. That's funny. When you give Yukikaze the cow bikini. I guess I just want to humiliate my anime girls. That's when I get my most joy, is just memeing on them and being like, hello, flat flat girl. We gave you the cow bikini treatment. Isn't that funny? Speaking of milk, I do have a request to draw Blizzard girls, and then I make some comments about their milking, stealing the breast milk. But I chose to finish this Star Wars comic first. Honestly, it's kind of unfair that the woman chose not to be a team player and not offer the breast milk to her fellow team members. And then she gets all pissy just because dudes want to have a sip. Everybody always complaining about people stealing their sandwich when they put it in the communal refrigerator, or people stealing your breast milk when you put it in the communal refrigerator. It's like, how can I tell the difference? I thought I was, just getting the half and half for my coffee. It's too similar. If you knew the amount of effort it takes to make enough to feed a baby, you'd be pissed off too. Sounds like skill issue. I've heard stories of women who have so much breast milk that even after they feed the baby, they have to be constantly pumping because their breasts feel painful because they're so full of milk. What is the difference between upper limits and lower amounts of breast milk production among women? A typical milk supply ranges from 570 to 900 milliliters, while the normal upper limit reaches up to 1,000 milliliters. Low supply happens when the breasts are not sufficiently stimulated or milk is not effectively removed. This signals the body to produce less milk. Oversupply. Here we go, boys. Beyond the limit. This sounds like we're talking about fucking Goku. I have to go beyond the limit. Over 1,200 milliliters a day. No, Goku. If you produce that much breast milk, the entire world will be destroyed! In some cases, mothers, such as those expressing for milk banks or nursing multiples, can produce exceptionally high limits, up to 3,000 milliliters a day. It's over 3,000! The breast milk is over 3,000! Do small-breasted mothers produce the same amount of milk? Wool, 3 liters. We can't let the breast milk producing mothers win. In response, we have to produce 3 liters of cum. That's how we will compete and show them who's boss. The breast milk making cells are more or less the same regardless of breast size because they are all situated under the areola and not inside the fatty tissue of the breast. I enjoy how you presented that scientific information to this chat, but I am going to choose to ignore it. I refuse to consider your scientifically backed medical information, and I will instead choose to believe that that big fat titty cow bikini wearing woman produces 10,000 gallons of milk, and the flat chested one barely produces enough, and we must bully her for that reason. My options were constantly eating or sleeping, and sleeping was the higher priority for me. Again, sounds like skill issue. You're really doing a bad job of representing America by choosing to sleep over eat. As fellow Americans, I think we can all agree that we should just be eating a bunch of fatty food nonstop and then claiming that it was baby weight. You would need to compare women who have drastic size differences like Slavic Viking descendants who are 5 to 7 feet tall with South American Aboriginals who are about 4 to 5 feet tall. What, are we still talking about breast milk? Just produce more forehead, haha. What's wrong? Now, if we're expecting women to just produce more milk, and they expect us to produce more cum, as men, we must oblige and shoot gallons and gallons of cum so that the entire, fucking floor is flooded with semen. If you actually think about it for a second, let me illustrate this. Hopefully I will not get banned. But think about the amount of breast milk that's produced in the hentai. Usually the most you get in a hentai image is like stuff that shows like this, right? That's the total amount of breast milk production. Now think about the amount of cum that you get in the same image. We'll make sure that she's not exposing her nipples and give her the cow print bikini. Here is milk for reference. Now think about cum. You see this puddle on the floor? It's all semen. You see the stuff on her face? You see this this window? From the window to the wall? Now compare the amount of liquid that the baby gets versus the amount of wasted material Yes, a massive yogurt spill has happened. Really makes you think, huh? Who's doing the real work here? The woman who produces a minuscule amount of breast milk, not even to feed the baby, because technically in the hentai they're not even pregnant yet. I personally like the hentai in which they don't have breast milk in the beginning, but once they get the x-ray that shows that their egg has been inseminated, their body immediately starts squirting breast milk to indicate the fact that they are now pregnant. Yet another clear example of that how you can know that you're immediately pregnant. Your body just starts immediately shooting milk. So convenient. Quality over quantity. No, what are we gonna do, fellow men? She's calling our sperm low quality. Woman will never understand the burden. It is funny how, like, if you don't jack off for like 1 or 2 days, instead of jacking off every day, well, like I often do, and you jack off and you like look at the amount of semen that comes out and you're like, shit, that's a way more semen than usual. I guess I do need to charge up for like a day and a half before I get like maximum sperm amount. I have to keep the boobs small to accentuate the fact that has a tight teenage body. But giant saggy boobs are cool. Eh. I'm kind of done with the giant saggy boobs. I've seen enough. People don't know when to stop. They just have to keep on making them bigger and bigger. Gotta build up power for the special move. Goku, no! Don't use 10 times Kaiokum. Your body's at its limit. What if, like, you're having sex and the dude starts making the Kamehameha noises to indicate that he's about to come? You're like, babe, are you close to finishing? And he starts being like, Ka! And he's doing it at the Dragon Ball anime speed. So it's gonna take him like 20 minutes to actually fire off because he has to like really charge up very slowly. Let's go, Ka! It's like, oh no, are you ready? Man! We go to commercial break. I know one dude who probably did that. He's like, I need you to wear the Chi-Chi lowly metal bikini in the process as well. I need you to paint your face white like Freezer. I already did a comic where I was like, what would be a deal breaker for women? And I was like, what if I asked women to have the Yu-Gi-Oh hair? But I think we can go further. What if we're like, babe, in order for you to come, I need you to achieve the Freezer look, right? You have to shave your head. Does it look like this? It has to look like this, right? You need to wear black lipstick. She's like, okay, you want me to be goth, right? I need to paint your face. You're like, okay, the goth look, right? And I need to fucking shave your head so you look like this. I think this is what Freezer looks like. Is he like this? The dude who tried hitting on me by saying I'd be a cute Chi-Chi and I responded by saying I was a Bulma gal. You should have responded by saying I'm a lunch gal and then murdered him with a submachine gun. He would have understood the reference. And then you would never appear again because you would be in federal prison. Maybe that's why Lunch no longer appears. Have you ever considered that, guys? Everyone's like, Toriyama, why doesn't Lunch ever appear in Dragon Ball? Have you ever considered that she might be serving her sentence in federal prison for a murder after she had, like, a situation in which she killed someone with her Uzi? That seems pretty, considering she has no control over her split personality, that seems kind of likely. Right? She just, like, freaks out. You touch her ass. She freaks out. Her hair turns blonde. She robs banks and stuff. Maybe she's serving time in prison for, like, multiple homicide. Didn't Toriyama say he just forgot about her? Toriyama is an author who forgot that he drew the same character on the spine of the books twice and nobody noticed. So if you buy the original Dragon Ball comic book tankobon volumes, Yajirobe is on there twice. So yeah, Toriyama constantly forgets the existence of characters. He don't got time for lunch. If he needs something fixed in the storyline, he has the jack of all trades, solution to all problems, Bulma, to just either give birth to a baby or invent a fucking time machine so the baby can show up in the modern era. He doesn't need lunch. Bulma will solve all problems that the story presents. Bulma, please fix this plot hole. Meanwhile, Chi-Chi be like, Gohan-chan, you have to become a scholar for some reason. How would Chi-Chi react when she learns that Gohan-chan has failed to obtain tenure or fails in his PhD defense and he has to continue grad school for another 3 more years? She's like, I thought that being a respectable, educated person was the road to having a good life and being a helpful part of society, but it turns out that nobody fucking needs any more, like, philosophy professors or whatever the fuck Gohan would become. You thought the Dragon Balls were the MacGuffin? It was Bulma all along. They're kind of like a set, you know? I mean, if you think about it, the entire planet of Namek is a fucking MacGuffin. You're like, oh, did we create some arbitrary rules for Dragon Balls? Well, we have a separate fucking planet in which those rules don't apply. Also, God came from that planet. Gohan is an entomologist bug guy. Gohan studying bugs. Jotaro studying starfish. Gohan is boring now too. Unfortunately, Gohan like all of the Dragon Ball characters, he failed the test of can you replace Goku? And the answer is no, nobody can replace Goku, and I don't understand why. Because Goku is not exactly like a deeply interesting character or anything. And yet it's like fucking impossible to replace him. Japan and their love of biology majors. There's a reason why, like, all the emperors become various forms of, like, fish scientists. It's just a very unoffensive job to have. No one's gonna complain if you study bugs or fish or butterflies or whatever. Also, the Japanese fucking love bugs. Every kid grows up running through the mountains trying to catch cicadas. They're not actually trying to catch cicadas, there's just a lot of cicadas. Instead, they're trying to catch stag beetles. If you're a Japanese child and you don't like stag beetles, people are like, what is wrong with him? He must have low testosterone. Sakana-kun is a national treasure for a reason. I was watching in real time when Sakana-kun appeared on the TV Champion. That was the name of the TV show. In his initial appearance, and he fucking just annihilated everybody. This was before he was an infamous global persona based entirely on his knowledge of fish. This just like one autistic kid shows up and he destroys all the other autistic fish fanatics just by such a massive margin. I can never get the tridimensional shape of the pelvis right. Those vagina bones are the bane of me. Yeah, I think like you just straight up should draw the fucking pelvis like the actual like shape. Like, there's all this stuff like, oh, you should draw like a box, you know? I think you literally just have to just like straight up draw the shape of the vagina bone like this. And be actually like, it's actually easier if you just like, just straight up be like, okay, here's the top part and here's the inner part, here and here. And then let's just fucking draw it, and it'll be like this, right? And then here, and then here. It's actually easier if you just like straight up fucking draw the shape of the skeleton. And then it makes it easier to judge whether like the rib cage, then you draw this like circle shape. And then you're like, okay, here's the rib cage. Kind of housing this circle shape. So we can, if we're going to maximize the hourglass, we can go like this far in. And then make the ass come out. This is where the asshole would be, so then we go out like here. This is how we can maximize it. It's about as far as we can go. Boxes for pelvis is just wrong. better to simplify it instead with something else. I literally think it's easier to just actually draw the skeleton, especially for the pelvis. The box really just doesn't do it. The secondary crest is so fucking hard to assess. It's also, you also have to think about when you look at the vagina from below, right? If you want to draw porn. Like, here's the leg. Leg 1. Leg 2. The leg shape is also difficult. It's like this, right? So you're looking at it from below. Up to here is kind of okay, right? But then you start to get into this question of like, how do those blades of bone, how do they look from below? This is where I really need like some reference. The combination of like the three-dimensional shape yeah, I can't just visualize it without reference. It's definitely helpful to have like a 3D model, I think, and then just rotate it. Or just straight up find a photo and just draw the photo. That's what I would have done previously. But now I kind of feel like I need to be able to just like do it off the top of my head, and it's very difficult. You're doing it right though. The perspective is off, for one thing. This feels kind of correct. It's not incorrect to the point that when someone looks at it, they're going to be like, this is wrong, but it is incorrect in that it's not like fully trapping, it's not fully capturing the beauty of the female form. Yeah. Perspective, I'm such a noob. Perspective is kind of the hardest part. That's why I'm saying that it's probably easiest if you go and get a 3D model. Then your perspective, or at least, will be right. If we're going to be like very anal about it, it's best if you get a 3D model to make sure your perspective is correct, and then you find a photo to fill in the details and like the complicated stuff like the skin and shit like that. The easiest way is just have a shit ton of references and then just draw from reference. That's how I've survived until now. But it can be a negative on your understanding long term if you just get good at drawing what you see without understanding the three-dimensional shapes and stuff behind what makes it look that way. The keys to making art look professional is confidence and understanding. You can't truly be confident without understanding what you're drawing. We can go more hourglass if we want to. This is probably maximum before it starts to look weird. This is why I learned how to draw women first. I always had a reference on hand in a pinch. This is why the female author, when they draw their gay sex scene, they're like, where does the penis go inside? How is the penis attached? I don't know. Unfortunately, we don't have that kind of creative anatomy anymore, because women have access to the internet, so they can actually study anatomy, most of them. But back in the day, it was always cool knowing that your female gay porn artist was a virgin because she didn't know how the penis looked like or how it was attached. She had never seen a male body before. This is why yaoi hands came into being. That's just women being like sexually attracted to hands and just exaggerating that shit. You can get away with so much like lack of what you're understanding of what you're doing when you're doing drawing shoujo and stuff. In general, shoujo manga especially, but then like shoujo manga adjacent female made stuff. It all happens in like the world, the mind. It's like a spiritual mind journey. So things like the physical body often become fucked up in the process. Anatomy used to be so inconsistent for all but the very best. There's a reason why Toriyama showed up. And people at the time were like, holy shit, he's so good at drawing. There's parts of Toriyama that are still like unmatched today. But it's also important to remember that a lot of the shit that he was doing at the time was good because everyone at the time also fucking sucked. The general quality of art and what is expected from quality of art in the manga industry has kind of like skyrocketed. Everybody has access to so much more information now, and that really is what you're just doing, is you're just producing information. Western romance novels all being monster fucking these days. To be fair, it isn't really that different from the traditional romance novel, which is always just like tamed by the barbarian. Carol is a confident, young, successful female prosecutor. But she doesn't know what she's in for when this rough Apache man shows up and teaches her a lesson. Like, Fabio being a pirate isn't that much different than women wanting to fuck a minotaur, you know? Growing up in the 90s, if you went to whatever, there was a specific section of the local supermarket I call that area Smut Alley. No. I'm trying to find a good cover that's like with a title like Savage. There's not a lot of images being oh, here's a good one. Savage Love, Cassie Edwards, Monster Bones. They were the stuff of Indian legend, which warned that they must not be disturbed. But lovely golden-haired Dayanara and her father were on a mission for the Smithsonian Institute, LMAO, to track down the mysterious bones and uncover them, despite the danger. Not even her father's untimely death. This bitch is literally getting her father killed so she can fuck a hot guy. Or a disapproving and disturbingly handsome Indian chief could prevent Dayanara from exploring the untamed Cree lands west of the Missouri River and proving her worth as an archaeologist. That's right, I'm a headstrong archaeologist that isn't gonna let my untimely death of my father... I bet it's like 2 pages long. It's like, it looks like my dad's dead. Forbidden. Any relationship between a Cree chief and a white woman was prohibited by both their peoples. But the golden woman of Quick Fox Dream was more glorious than the setting sun. How could he deny himself her bright beauty, her soft warmth? Not even her interest in the sacred burial grounds of his people could prevent him from discovering the lights they would know together and proving his savage love. And of course, the image, he is as naked as possible. Note that this is Savage number 18. So there's 17 versions of this before that. Yes, it is a romance, but it is a romance with a larger conflict fueling the plot. Thank you. Holy shit, she has a fucking entire Savage series, guys. Chippewa, 5 primary works. Wild. Wild Tribes. Dreamcatcher. This is all the equivalent of Minotaur Milking Farm. before they figured out the forbidden technology of having women have sex with bipedal cows. And they were still like, but what if the man was the equivalent of a minotaur in that he was a Native American? If I click on any single one of these by Kathy Edwards, I guarantee that the female in every single one is like a headstrong, capable professional. Maybe not this one. Crippled in a train accident and abandoned by her fiancé. Oh, no, she's a lawyer. Yep. Oh, I'm a powerful, high-paid lawyer that gets $400 an hour. But Josephine Taylor Stanton believes no one will love her in a wheelchair. LMAO. Until a proud, handsome Ottawa chief shows up in her office looking for someone to help his people. It's pretty funny, isn't it? Women are complaining about men reading porn or looking at porn, and this is like their entire fucking bookshelf. Don't be ableist, chat. Even women who are powerful, successful lawyers that have been crippled in accidents deserve their Native American hunky boy toy. Sailing in the deep, clear waters of Puget Sound. Beautiful, red-haired. It's not always blonde, guys. Janice Edwards is bound for a new beginning. Leaving behind the wealth and luxury she's known in San Francisco, she hopes to find a simpler, sweeter life in the towering forests of Tacoma. And a man who will love her for who she is, not what she was. Oh, I'm so rich. How can I overcome this crippling situation of absolute wealth? Tall, muscular limbs and a powerful chest revealed his buckskin clothing. He's a Skokomish Indian from all she's heard, a savage to be feared. What did I just walk into? We're checking all the different variations of female protagonists we have in Native American themed romance novels. Schwandi? What are these names? Sibley longed for satin ribbons, fancy dresses, and a man who would take her away from her miserable life in Silver Creek. And even then, Schwandi's mother made her disguise herself as a boy for her own protection. This author is tapping into Shakespeare. This is a white trash woman, I guess. I'm guessing these kind of books appeal to the trad wives out there. By trad wives, do you mean unemployed females? Yes. I wonder who did the art covers for these. That's a good question. 12 people are currently reading. White Eagle's Touch. So if you don't like Native Americans, you can also get the cowboy versions of this. I like how, after a certain point, they were just like, forget the females. We don't really need a female. Up until this point, it was all like, make sure that we have the woman kind of draped on top of the dude. But after, like, book 15, you'll notice that the women are like, I don't need a fucking bitch on the cover. I just want to see the meat. Just show me the dude on the horse. No woman required. And this eventually becomes no woman required in the story at all, and it just becomes gay men action. This is why Japan is ahead of the West. Yvette. All these names, man. You don't really get this sort of thing anymore? You do, actually. You just don't have the people painting the cover. It's all like photos because you can just like convince any dude to be like, hey, you're pretty hunky. Can you be the cover of our like cowboy themed romance novel for like $20? And they're like, sure. And they figured out it doesn't really affect the sales that much. The cowboys aren't inaccurately depicted as majority white. Cowboy. Rein Me In, Cowboys of Nighthawk #1. Married to the Alien Cowboy, Cowboy Colony Mail Order Brides #1. Published in 2024. This is our modern version of this shit. A quiet alien cowboy, a human woman on the run, and one very messy marriage of convenience. What could possibly go wrong? In debt and on the run from a crime lord whose nose I may or may not have broken. Again, headstrong female. Headstrong female, don't need no man. She breaks the nose of crime lord. The only catch, I have to marry an alien cowboy. The cowboy looks like a normal human dude with blue hair. The annoying part is that now the writers write shit like, yup, my plan officially sucks because now it's not just my life at risk. They have to write stupid dialogue like yup. Yes, IQ is going down. Some people call him Maurice. You have nice peaches. Let me shake your tree, he said. What could the peaches be referring to? Nobody knows. It's a mystery. IQs are going down and trad wives are going up, coming up. I mean, if it was just the trad wife IQ that was going down, we wouldn't have a societal problem. The problem is that it's like everybody, all the kids' IQ is going down, not just the ones who want to be trad wives. In order for the trad wives to stay at home and take Instagram photos of them like baking muffins and shit, there needs to be other people that maintain society, which there might not be if we let every teenager use ChatGPT to answer all their questions. Crazy how trad wives became popular because social media was one of the few acceptable jobs Mormon women could have. I didn't know that's where trad wives came from. I just assumed there was people being performative and trying to find whatever niche they could. I didn't know it was actual Mormons. Mormonism seems like a particularly American-oriented religious experience when you're not supposed to drink alcohol, but you are supposed to drink soda. And you're not supposed to have a job, but you are supposed to post performative housewife practices on Instagram. It started with Mormons and extended to the far right. Now it just extends to people who want followers. And I assume that there's some overlap between non-Mormon tradwife LARPers and then people who want to have, like, OnlyFans subs. I'm assuming that, like, half of the people who are tradwife posting also have OnlyFans accounts at this point. If there's one rule of the internet, it's that the more you leave something alone, the more it devolves into pornography, so... Staring disassociatively at her iPhone while she drinks her dirty coconut Coke from her limited edition Lockheed Martin Stanley Cup. Sounds like a good life if you ask me. I fucking love coconut. Dirty soda fixed by doing a swig run. I don't even know what a swig run is. I barely even know what a dirty soda fix is. Someone has to drive an SUV around Salt Lake traffic all day. This soda isn't gonna buy itself. Best dirty soda. The viral rise of dirty soda chain Swig. Will it last?
Dirty soda.
You guys, when did Taco Bell start selling dirty sodas?
Crumble just released dirty sodas in a handful of locations.
It's my first time.
I didn't know that Crumble sells fucking soda. I thought it was a cookie company.
Utah is like land of the Mormon bar, which are all the soda shops that we have. There's one on every corner.
Is now going viral, and not just on TikTok.
Swig is doing more volume with their out-of-state stores than they're doing in-state. It's not a Mormon thing.
It's not a Mormon thing. It's just a Utah thing.
In this video, with the help of an all-star lineup of guests,
show me the soda, bitch.
While Nicole Tanner
this much of our product. And
Shops open like the same time as a coffee shop. You see people in the drive-thru getting soda at like 8 in the morning, which is crazy.
Given this unique customer dynamic, I had to ask Austin, why did Savory Fun think that Swig would scale?
Dirty soda. Swig, fizz, Sodalicious, quench it, pick me up, pop the soda mix. We're at 110 locations here. It's definitely a Mormon thing. Which do you guys want? Liver cirrhosis or diabetes? I guess you can get both. They kind of go together, right? It's not like one or the other. You can get both pretty easily. Diabetes for sure. The good thing is you don't have to choose. You can get both at the same time. When your organs start to fail, they kind of fail together. It's like a combo just automatically. A lot of people who drink a lot of alcohol also get the diabetes. Because you need the sugar to make the alcohol work in the first place. Ozempic will tank the Mormon soda industry. Does the Mormon Church allow GLP-1 drugs, though? It feels like something that they could arbitrarily ban. They do. Root beer floats are as far as dirty sodas should go. In Japan, there is no root beer. If you ask for a float, you can get a float, but it's this creamy melon, fake melon, green melon flavored soda. Meron soda, as they call it. If you order cream soda, you also get melon soda. There isn't like an alternative cream soda. It's just this melon type. That's it. Grape soda is the shit, only second to Mexican apple soda. I was told that only black people drink grape soda. I don't know if this is true. There definitely isn't much... I guess there's grape Fanta in Japan. I don't think it's particularly that popular, though. Japan has different flavor of grapes than American grapes, you know. The Japanese Kyoho or whatever it's called. It has a distinctly different flavor than American grapes. It's more complex in flavor, but they're a pain in the ass to eat because you have to like peel them, and they have seeds. I don't know where they're natively from, but they're bigger, and you have to do a lot of work to eat them. Kyoho Muscat. I've never had these Shine Moscato thing that Japanese have been like hyping the fuck out of. The standard Japanese agricultural practice is like spend 10 million hours developing some like insanely sugary dessert version of a fruit that tastes incredible and is incredibly expensive, and then like Koreans break into your hot house agricultural setup and like steal the shit and then take it back to Korea and then start selling it. This is something that has happened multiple times in Japan in the past. Call of fruit theft reparations. In general, Japan is too much of a high-trust society for their own good because they keep on forgetting that they're surrounded by very low-trust societies in Korea and China and all the Southeast Asian countries, and they get fucked over because of it. This is especially true for, like, their expensive innovation, technological innovation stuff, whether it's agricultural or otherwise. And it's been happening for the last, like, 30 years or so, and they still haven't learned. I was thinking about seasonal loquat jellies the other day and got sad. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen that much seasonal shit around me, but I might not be looking hard enough. Actually, I'm just tuning out all the ads being sent to me. I'm sure there's plenty of seasonal shit being peddled. Japan never shuts the fuck up about various seasonal stuff. In fact, if you open up Japanese Twitter at the moment, there'll be like seasonal McDonald's being peddled. Low-cut season entered in June. I can't pay attention. I can't really eat most of the fruit offered to me because Japan uses too much fucking pesticides. I can feel it on my lips. Japanese making their own plum wine every year. They are selling fruit wine jars and stuff at the local supermarket because they want the boomers to be, you know, making fruit wine, I guess. Young people don't drink alcohol anymore, so they gotta appeal to the boomer fruit makers. How do young people deal with reality if they aren't drinking? Looking at their phone, I assume. But yeah, Japanese drinking has gone steadily down. Same thing for cigarette usage. The Japanese beer companies are in like actual panic mode because Japanese teenagers and, you know, grown adults keep on being like, yeah, I don't feel like drinking. I mean, so much of drinking is social. The younger generations of Japan are like, I don't want to be forced to drink, you know, 10 beers just because my manager doesn't want to go home to his wife. So they're just like, yeah, sorry, I'm leaving, bye. This is apocalyptical levels of lack of social cohesion that these Gen Z kiddies are exhibiting by not choosing to drink themselves to death with their, you know, their senpai, and instead choosing to go home and sleep. Is Yanineko propaganda to drink and smoke more? I don't think it's propaganda in terms of like they're trying to convince other people to join their hobby, but they were doing interviews of the dudes that make Yanineko, and they look exactly like what you would expect them to do. They look like the Japanese equivalent of redneck trash. And of course they were all smoking. So the smokers are still just like We don't want people to tell us that we're not allowed to smoke. We want to smoke. It's just that the people who don't want to smoke are also in the mode where we're like, I'm not going to smoke just because you want me to smoke, or I'm not going to drink just because you want me to drink. We don't fucking care. So they're from Saitama. I can't remember where Sagamihara is. I think it might have been Saitama. Dasaitama, as we like to call it. Dasai meaning uncool. Yaineko smokes a whole pack a day. If she gave her more cigarettes, she would smoke way more than a pack a day. Pack a day smoker isn't even that impressive. The only reason that she's smoking a pack a day is because she only has a pack. It would be interesting to see how much Yaineko smokes if you gave her like unlimited access to cigarettes. She'd probably get through like 3 or 4 packs. If you want to have sex with her disgusting cat pussy that doesn't properly bathe, all you would have to do is like offer her a carton. Maybe a pack might be enough, but if you want to be sure, just make sure you get her a fucking carton. It's in Kanagawa. Yeah, it's Western Tokyo. Hold on, let's check the fucking streets. It looks relatively normal, honestly, but I was checking YouTube last night and the local Japanese news showed up, and there was like some Sagamihara criminal news of like a dude robbing a convenience store or some shit. I'm like, hey, it's Yanineko's location. They're doing shitty trash behavior. As expected of the shitty, trashy place. I don't know, it looks fine. This is just like a standard, like, the worst slum in Japan is, the absolute cleanest location in American City kind of situation. My base was at the Sobo Daime station of the Odakyu line. Yeah, people commenting in the Yanineko comments about Sagamihara were like, it's a location where you get American service members like running away from their bases and getting like collected by Japanese police or something like that. So that's an average place in Mexico. Okay, I'm not bringing Mexico into the situation. Japan doesn't have like 600 drug cartel related killings a year. Please understand that if someone is murdered in Japan, the murder is in the front page news for like 3 or 4 weeks at a time. Maybe like several months. They can't be like, one person got murdered today, then another person got murdered the same day. Without the sepia filter, yeah, we don't have like the Mexican music playing in the background. Or the Middle Eastern wailing, so we know it's neither the Middle East or Mexico. The filter isn't on. It bothers me that if I type Obi-Wan Kenobi into the Google algorithm, they give me a young version instead of Alec Guinness. That pisses me off. At least the first image is fucking classic Obi-Wan. What if we at least get Antonio Banderas? Antonio Banderas. Tarantino getting killed by vampires. Prequel memes, yeah. I mean, he's only in the original trilogy for like a total of 10 minutes. He's just like, that's me, I'm Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then like 20 minutes later in the fucking movie, he's getting cut down by Vader. Luke being like, no, you can't die! You're my sensei! Shisho, how can you be killed? It's like, dude, you've known him for like 5 minutes. We've literally got one scene in which he teaches you how to like fiddle around with a lightsaber for like, you were on the same car ride together for like 5 minutes, and you're like, no, sensei! I will avenge your death! You barely know him, dude. Luke, is that just daddy starved? What about his uncle? His uncle taught him how to be a good moisture farmer. Luke is just a little bitch brat who doesn't want to moisture farm in his desert planet. He's always like, I want to go and get power converters. I want to drive my fucking hot rod. Doesn't understand the importance of being a proper moisture farmer out there. Uncle Owen isn't cool, though. Yeah, unfortunately, Obi-Wan is the closest thing that Luke has experienced to being a cool adult who will let him, like, play with weapons of mass destruction. He's like, hey, Luke, wanna fuck around with this weapon? He's like, yeah, let's fucking go! Uncle Owen in the Obi show is fucking cool. Honestly, you don't get it when you're a teenager, but when you're old and you don't want to have fucking kids, you know that his uncle really fucking stepped up, right? I can't remember who brought him the son. Was it Obi-Wan who showed up with the baby? I can't remember how the homestead gets the kids at the end of episode 3. But if like some motherfucker showed up and like, you have to raise this kid, I'd be like, no. I'm busy with the moisture farm, god damn it. This moisture isn't gonna farm itself, god damn it. And then he gets his ass killed as a result. He really did step up and when they asked him to be a better man, he really did end up being a better man, especially compared to fucking Anakin, that's for sure. And he paid the price for it. And what does he get? Besides getting murdered by stormtroopers? Even before he got murdered by stormtroopers, he got this fucking, you know, smart-ass kid who's like, I want to go and drive my fucking speeder. Leia gets adopted by royalty and Luke is a fucking moisture farmer, LMAO. Of course, Leia also gets her entire fucking planet deleted. That doesn't help. If I was an random, like, Alderanian citizen, I'd be like, yo, Princess, how about you don't get us all murdered by the Death Star? How about that? It's a good thing that the US military doesn't have access to, like, a Death Star. Because you know that, like, Trump would be asking whether he would be allowed to use the Death Star laser right now. He would be like, can we use the Death Star on Iran? And they'd be like, no, sir. You'll destroy all the oil in the process. It's like, just a little. Implying there's no Lockheed Martin Death Star orbiting the Earth right now. I mean, I'm surprised they haven't been trying to make, like, the mass weapons where they drop, like, these gigantic spikes from orbit. You'd think we'd have that ship by now. I mean, we basically have nukes, right? And we know that Trump probably was asking about nukes during his first year. Like, why can't we use the nukes? Trump nuking Honduras because he can't spell Hormuz. Trump nuking Iceland because he doesn't know the difference between Iceland and Greenland. Rods from God weapons aren't really worth it. The rod only has the same energy as the rocket fuel uses to get it to orbit. Yeah, you need to already have space colonies that are already doing, like, asteroid mining for it to be worth it. If you already have, like, asteroid belt mining and you just have, like, a bunch of leftover material, then you can start dropping mass weapons. But even the Xeon, the Duchy of Xeon was like, what if we just, like, drop the actual colony? Char being like, but what if we dropped a fucking asteroid instead, though? Wouldn't that be even better? Honestly, the thing is that super weapons aren't as important as much more smaller, cheaper weapons that you can have a lot of. We're seeing that with drones, and before drones we had that with like AKs and stuff, right? Super weapons are too much of a political statement, but just having like a bunch of African children armed with AKs killing people with machetes ends up murdering a lot of people in the long run, way more than just like 1 or 2 nukes. Nukes are expensive, AKs are cheap. The little things add up. That's right. Never forget the little things. The small acts of bravery that happen on our day-to-day life. The innocent African child taking the time to kill the local village after he's been part of the enslaved child soldier brigade. Super weapons don't move the economy as much. We just don't have enough of them. If every American was allowed to own their own personal nuclear device, think how much more safe we would be. The average American, if they had access to that shit, this is how they would be behaving right now. The fucking codec call.
Snake.
We're coming to get you now. Just stay where you are. We'll drop a recovery balloon. Can you set it up?
Average American just being like,
I have both Sokolov and the Shagohod.
where the fuck? I'm waiting for him to just pull out the Davy Crockett. I didn't know that this was an actual thing.
If they are our enemies, they're still our countrymen.
But it won't be me that pulled the trigger. It'll be our friend, the American defector.
You're going to nuke your fellow Russians?
You're going to nuke your fellow Russians? It's okay, dude.
Colonel!
I didn't know this was an actual thing until relatively recently. Yes, we did have, like, locally hand-mounted nuclear devices that you could detonate. That was basically like an RPG. Oh, damn. I thought they had more, yeah, here we go. Snake is, of course, doing just fine. But, the Davy Crockett was an actual fucking thing. America was actually like, hey, dude, let's just drive up with our fucking tank-mounted nuclear launcher. We'll just fire it off. Don't tell the soldiers firing the Davy Crockett whether they'll be okay or not. Russians had never been concerned about killing other Russians. Honestly, the recent magazine article we had where they interviewed some Russians that had survived their Ukrainian excursion And they were like, we just all got holed up in this abandoned house, and then we just kind of decided we were going to kill each other because, you know, we thought that if we didn't, the other dude would just kill us because he said he had killed other guys. Where they were just like, yeah, and then we just killed each other. We all got drunk on vodka and we just killed our fellow troops. And they were like, why? It's like, yeah, you know. Because, you know, we joined the war effort to kill people. And, you know, who else are we going to kill besides other Russians now that we're here? It just seemed, you know, it just naturally happened. You have to dig a trench before firing a Davy Crockett because the rocket's range is less than the blast radius of the warhead. Yes, don't worry, that trench will definitely protect you from the nuclear fallout. You definitely won't be getting cancer a week later. Trusty, it will be fine. It was actually because they ran out of vodka. Legitimate reason, of course. People who criticizing the Russian soldiers, they don't understand what it means to run out of vodka. Just to think Hegseth wants to test for low testosterone in the army so they can give them T therapy. What's the worst that could happen? We really are just living in a Fox News ad, aren't we? Just like all the shit that is advertised in the past 10 years on like pretty much every Fox News program. It's like buy silver bars, nutritional supplements, testosterone replacement. These dudes are all just like Fox News adverts. It's pretty crazy that this is the reality we're living in. I'm surprised that all our troops haven't been equipped with My Pillows. Give them a few more years and they're going to be like, all our military personnel will be paid in Trump coin crypto. Fox News masculinity is truly hilarious. It looks like cosplay. It really is cosplay. They're LARPing as manly men. All of these dudes who have never went to war. Dudes who were bullied because they weren't manly enough. Like the bald dude, Stephen Miller. It is American Warrior LARP. It do be like that. Miller is a basket case of various mental issues. I have heard that he was bullied extensively when he was going to his very liberal high school, which has made him an extremely deranged individual. It makes sense if you think about it. You can tell just based on his like general demeanor that he has a lot of emotional issues that he hasn't resolved. being a conservative in Santa Monica is a target. You just don't need to be an asshole about everything, but you can be a conservative without joining like the Young Republican Society of whatever college you're going to, but people just can't fucking help themselves. Is Orange County still red? I would assume it is, right? It's still full of rich people, isn't it? Is there anything that would result in it stop being red? In high school, college, I never encountered an out and proud conservative who wasn't the worst person whose presence would cause parties to disband. Yeah. This is what I started the stream with, but the American left has become extremely annoying and intolerable after the first Trump administration, but we should never let that distract from how fucking awful the American right is as well. It feels good being a country where the primary complaint politically is that all the politicians are receiving bribes. Relatively small bribes, by the way. I bet if I type into Japanese news, bribe news, there'll be like something within the past 3 days or something. Oshoku news. Here's one at the top of their the various newses. There's one in Kumamoto Prefecture. The mayor of, I can't read the name of the fucking city. This is a Hachidaishi. So they were building a new city building for the mayor. And they were, I guess some dude was receiving bribes for who won the construction bid. This is from 2013. This is just like absolute standard Japanese news. No matter when you read Japanese news, it's always like one person or another person getting caught because they were receiving bribes. Which is interesting because like, people who aren't politicians in Japan don't ever receive bribes. Like, you can never bribe a Japanese police officer or like an office worker to get your paperwork done faster and shit. You would never have to. It's only like politicians. It's like they have like an entire bribery class in Japan who are just like multi-generational political families whose entire life has been receiving bribes and shit. Getting caught skill issue. Well, in America, you never have to worry about getting caught because it's literally legal. We call it lobbying. We have already legalized the bribe system in America, so you don't really have to worry about getting caught. It really is a skill issue, I guess. When you're drawing characters like Obi-Wan, it's always kind of difficult to try and figure out how much wrinkles is the right amount of wrinkles. You have to make him wrinkly, but not too wrinkly. Getting caught doesn't mean anything over there. They can always blame their secretary, or in this case, he's blaming the vice mayor, his second in command. Was Shinzo Abe in it for the love of the game? I think he was. Shinzo Abe was a true politician. Like, he enjoyed being a politician. He was friends with everyone. He received bribes from all sorts of locations, like, you know, the Unity Church. Just showing how Shinzo Abe got along with Trump, and for example, shows that he really actually was in it for the love of the game. I think he just enjoyed, like, politicking in general. Surprised the Chinese weren't blamed. Construction contracts are probably the most opportunistic thing for, like, putting in bribes. Pretty much in any country, I'm sure. The whole, like, reverse auction system where, like, one person claims that they can do it for the cheapest amount, and then they get the commission, is just, like, it's asking for various forms of bribery, right? Because for step one is that you want to get an information from the mayor or whoever, what the price is right now, and then you can, like, undercut everybody and have it, like, exactly the right number. And then step two is, like, you do it for even cheaper and then give, like, some of the money to the politician that's helping you, and so on. The fact that Japanese infrastructure isn't collapsing left and right like it does in China shows that despite the bribes, it's really not that much of a problem. Because there was a shit ton of corruption problems like that since the 70s. So theoretically, if that was resulting in the construction companies, which were often run by Yakuza and shit, actually, like, fucking cutting corners left and right like they do in China, Japan would have had a crumbling infrastructure problem many years ago like China has, but it doesn't. So it shows that even when, you know, doing underhanded shit, there is some sort of standard for, like, construction quality in Japan, which is why it's a nice place to live in, as opposed to, like, fucking China, right? So, transportation and waste management, yep. Anything that involves jobs that people who wouldn't want to do normally, like, you know, carrying garbage and stuff, tends to have some kind of mob connection. Japan is too autistic to build with substandard materials. Yeah, I don't think anyone in Japan is just like, hey, instead of filling up this concrete wall with rebar and concrete like we're supposed to, what if we just dump a bunch of trash bags in, and then the fucking entire wall starts to crumble 5 years later, which is like half of the infrastructure in China. It's kind of crazy. Like, the level of, like, I don't give a fuck in China is so much higher than almost, you know, any other country on the planet. I say they're like America, but not even America puts, you know, a mountain of trash inside their wall. Like, it's pretty hard to walk around an American city and find, like, a structure where you can grab, like, a concrete wall and just, like, start breaking it with your fingers. And yet, it's extremely common in China. Oh, fuck, I have to do, speaking of infrastructure, I have to make sure my lifelines are set up for my apartment today. I've been procrastinating on this, and, because I didn't have my phone, I had an excuse to not do it, but it's been like an entire fucking week, and if I procrastinate on getting my electricity and my water and my internet set up, I might not have it when I have to move there on the 3rd, so I definitely have to make a bunch of phone calls today. I'm not looking forward to it. I already used up all of my go out and do shit points yesterday by walking around, so it is not going to be easy to activate them by calling phone numbers today. You got a different place where you put your drawings besides X? You can check my Patreon. If you just Google BaalBud Patreon, it should show up. And I post my drawings there as well. They're not locked behind anything, so... Also, there's a bunch of people who repost my shit on a variety of Damboru or e-hentai websites, so... If you like getting your memes at the same place you get your hentai porn, you can just check e-hentai, I guess. Too much infrastructure for cars. Yep. You can thank Henry Ford for that. Henry Ford was just like, I thought of a great idea. What if we made it so that people have to own cars because it's the only way to survive, because the entire city is built around owning a car and nobody gets to have any kind of, public transportation. What about that? And everyone was like, sounds good. Great idea, Henry. We'll just make sure that the entire fucking city is just built around owning your expensive product. I curse Henry Ford and Edison on a regular basis. He doesn't care. Don't worry, Henry Ford also spends time cursing the Jews himself, so... You guys are in the same category. He's just cursing you right back. How... Did Henry Ford dislike the Jews? Key facts about his anti-Semitism include the Dearborn Independent. Ford purchased a local Michigan newspaper and used it to publish anti-Semitic articles for 91 weeks. Fucking LOL. 4-volume set called The International Jew. Bro basically had a 2-year run of talking about how the Jews were the problem of everything. The Protocols of the Elder Zion, accusing Jews of plotting world domination and blaming them for everything from World War I to the corruption of American culture, including jazz music and baseball. If there's one thing we know about jazz music, it's that the immense power that the Jews held over corrupting the youth's minds with their amazing jazz ability. He's the only American favorably mentioned in Adolf Hitler's Mein Kampf. He accepted high-ranking honor from the Nazis. Don't know about jazz, though. I'm sure there's a few jazz musicians just based on, like, the number of New York Jews versus the amount of Jewish jazz musicians. Benny Goodman, Artie Shaw, Stan Getz are the big ones from the era. Benny Goodman, obviously the most famous of these. But yeah, I believe the Henry Ford blaming jazz and the corruption of people's mentality on the Jews is kind of like peak early, let's blame everything on the Jews energy right there. He was making it popular before it was a thing. Man, George Lucas just was like straight up let's put the fucking dudes in a kimono, wasn't he? He was just like, nah, they're fucking samurai, put them in a kimono. The Jews were blamed since before the Roman Empire. Without a sufficient Jewish population in Japan, they had to blame other things like magical fox spirits and shit. They were like, oh, we're getting natural disasters. It's because the unhappy spirit of like some court magician dude has not been properly prayed to at our local shrine. Hurry, build some shrines to him. If this was a different country and they had the Jewish population, they were like, the Jews are casting their evil eye spells or whatever. We have to kill them again. But in Japan, they're like, no, it must be the fox spirits. You all had Jews, they were just called Tengus. Look, people are allowed to have long noses, even if they're not part of the tribe, okay? There's Tengu, there's Pinocchio. There's certain goblins. I like drawing my goblins with long noses. There's anteaters. Italians. I feel like Italians more have like bulbous noses instead of the long nose. Pretty sure Ford was insinuating Jews using blacks as a vessel to spread anti-establishment values. Yeah, people claim that today. His DEI is all a the globalist banking elites strategy to distract from the proletariat struggle. I mean, it doesn't help that, you know, you have dudes like Larry Fink pushing DEI, right? some gnomes had that type of nose too. Considering that there's Usopp as well. Considering that there's Usopp porn where he uses his nose cock, and there's Tengu porn where they use the Tengu nose cock, you'd think that we'd have some kind of like interracial cuck porn in which the Jewish nose cock is used, but nobody is being that creative, you know? It's always just the standard BBC, oh, the black dick is so big. We need to be more creative in our racial, sexualized stereotypes here. Also Pinocchio, yeah. If he starts lying hard, the nose starts extending deep inside her. That's certainly a fresh new sentence. I'm just thinking about the possibilities that we have that people have not pursued yet. People would be like, you should be the first person to draw it, but I am a busy man. There's also Cyrano de Bergerac, famous French nose man. I personally enjoy the One Piece porn in which Usopp is being used as a flesh dildo with Nami riding his dick and Robin riding his face, and of course his nose is all the way inside her, and he's like, I can't fucking breathe. It's all just good fun. Until Usopp dies. He had the can't breathe disease. Oh no! Usopp is gonna die! Chopper is crying in distress as he watches Usopp expire. It's sad to think that Usopp is gonna go back to his small, quaint little island with his Ojo-sama waiting for him. And she'll be like, Usopp-san, please tell me your stories. And eventually, she's gonna realize that Usopp has been getting fucked by the female crew members for the last 5 years. And he's no longer a virgin. Although I guess she's probably forgiving enough to not care. She is nice enough to just give him a fucking boat, so... Kaya has the butler with horns. I never fuck Nami or Robin, nose expands. One Piece cucking tears. S. Hancock when Luffy is getting, I don't know. Maybe Luffy isn't having any sex at all. But Hancock is definitely in the S tier because she definitely cares the most. And there's a very high chance that Luffy could get, you know, raped by a woman and he wouldn't notice what's happening. Same as Goku, so she's definitely at the highest risk of getting cucked here. I'm gonna put Kaya in B because I don't think she cares as much. Hancock getting cucked by a chunk of meat regularly. That's right. The literal sausage. The literal sausage fest. Pudding? I haven't read any of the Pudding content, so I don't even know where she would be in here. Goku is still able to ride the cloud after 2 kids. It was basically rape. It's the Chi-Chi fucking Goku is the equivalent of like an older woman molesting a 5-year-old. Pudding is tsundere for Sanji. Well, Sanji isn't getting any sex, so we can put Pudding in here, I guess. Unless we're counting the Zoro topping Sanji content as sex, I think she's safe. Goku literally didn't know what kissing was. Chi-Chi assaulting Goku when he becomes an adult and forcing him to marry her is the equivalent of like the social worker who is in charge of managing the short bus molesting like a mentally disabled kid and then like having his baby and being like, no, I had to do it. I called dibs. He called dibs on me. It was unavoidable. She took advantage of a mentally challenged boy. It really do be like that. Chi-Chi is like that one teacher who fucked her 13-year-old student and got pregnant. Yes, but he was very convincing. There was nothing she could do to resist Goku's charms. I mean, if Hancock would just take on the Chi-Chi strategy and just be like, here, Luffy, here's a piece of meat. Now stare at the ceiling and think about becoming the Pirate King. Then, you know, she could have him whenever she wants, but she's a dreamer at heart. So she's waiting for Luffy to propose to her or whatever. Tragic, really. She needs to take the Lady Gaga approach and show up in a meat dress. That would just result in Luffy eating the meat dress. That doesn't mean he'd fuck her. I don't think Luffy would make the connection between the meat dress being gone because he's eaten the meat dress and going from there to be like, now I need to have sex with the woman who is wearing the meat dress. It would just mean that there is a lot of meat for Luffy to consume, and that would be that. The meat dress is the distraction from the molestation. Pretty sure Luffy straight up said he wasn't going to marry her right after time skip. Let's ask the AI. What is Luffy's stance on the possibility of marriage with Boa Hancock? More like Hancock, am I right? AI Overview says Luffy's stance on marrying Boa Hancock is clear. He completely rejected the idea. Luffy has no romantic interest in her, is generally oblivious to her feelings, and has explicitly turned down her marriage proposals. This is very sad, actually. While Luffy rejected her romantic advances, he holds a deep platonic affection and high respect for her. He views her as a trusted ally and close friend who is incredibly helpful to him and his crew. Actual friend zone. The Nakama zone is what we can call it. She's actually not even Nakama. Nakama... You have to be part of the crew for him to be like, you're my Nakama. She's just as close to getting him as Law. If Trafalgar Law went full female mode, we know that he was female for a short period of time. He'd probably have way higher success at fucking Luffy if he wanted to. He could just like jumble Luffy's lower body so that he could have access just to like his cock and then use it as a meat dildo and then reattach it when necessary. Common devil fruit user strategy right there. I guess the conclusion that we should get from this whole thing is that when Oda Sensei means One Piece is about adventure and not about romance, what he means is that One Piece is about hot gay sex, not ridiculous heteronormative relationships. That's what makes it such a realistic simulation of the pirate life. Pirates are after booty for a reason. Pirates are getting confused, thinking that manatees are human female mermaids for a reason, i.e. they are starved for sex so bad. They look at a floating sea cow and they're like, damn, is that a female woman I see with a fish lower body in the ocean? Let me jump in and try and fuck the manatee. Women are bad luck on ships, true. Better keep it to us men only. Wouldn't want to curse us with female presence. There's just a lot of experiences that are more enjoyable if you're a gay man. And being on a ship for months at a time is definitely one of them. Another is, of course, being in prison. Just ask Pretty Pretty Prisoner. Pretty Pretty Prisoner probably top of my list on things that I assumed would get censored when a shonen manga series get ported to Western media. But I guess it was able to get through the censors. I actually haven't seen the English version of One Punch Man, so I don't know how explicit they are about, you know, insinuating that he's going around raping men's asses in prison, correcting men through, you know, the healing power of gay rape. But it's very explicit in the Japanese version about what is happening. All I can think about in English One Punch Man anime is Genos' metrosexual lispy voice. I mean, the Genos-Saitama relationship is the most obvious example of their roommates, not gay. Hint, hint. You know, relationship that we have in anime. They're literally roommates, right? The whole thing is tailor-made for the Fujos. You can't really blame the Fujos on that one. Complaining that the Fujos are doing One Punch Man, Saitama Genos pairings is like complaining that you left a kilo of heroin instead in front of a heroin addict and being like, God damn it, Danny, where did you put all the drugs? He's like, I don't know. I didn't use them, trust me. Genos is definitely the Neko, yeah. Like many relationships, Genos is clearly a power bottom trying to convince Saitama Sensei to fuck his ass. You can just imagine how Saitama is like, but I'm busy. Saitama is the top without even realizing it? Yeah. Poor Fubuki. Actually, we could put Fubuki up there in the jump females getting cucked list, considering she has to compete with all the gay competition with Genos, and her more powerful sister getting in the way as well. She's never getting the Saitama dick. It's just not available. Alright guys, I need to start doing adult shit like calling the infrastructure companies to make sure I actually have electricity when I move into my apartment, so I'm gonna end the stream here. Fuck, I really don't want to do that. See you around, boys. Good night. Have a nice night.